So what happened, it was in the summer of 1997, and I was newly pregnant. My husband and I were very excited, and I had been just to the doctor one time because I was only 10 weeks pregnant. And I was working at home, and surgery, something just did not feel right that day. I could not get comfortable, and all of a sudden, I had the most terrible sense of impending doom. And I've never had that feeling before. And I ran into the bathroom thinking something's really wrong. I'm going to be sick. Something's really wrong. And as I went into the bathroom, there just was this searing pain in my abdomen. I mean, I looked down in surprise. It literally felt like someone stuck a knife in me, and it felt like something burst. It felt like an organ burst, and I passed out on the floor in the bathroom. And I was home alone, and I was unconscious. And the only reason I believe that I came back to consciousness was there was this insistent male voice. He just would not stop. And he said, Wendy, Wendy, you've got to wake up now or you're going to go home. And I knew exactly what he meant, that I was going to die if I didn't get help. So I opened my eyes and I was disoriented because I'm laying on my side and everything's happening really fast. So I'm looking around in my bathroom, and Sergey, all I could see was these incredible light coming off these 4 or 5 large figures that I immediately recognized as angels. And my brain's just trying to take this in. I'm like, oh my gosh, angels are absolutely real because they're right here in my bathroom. And I remembered calling out to God before I went down, saying, I need help. And I just was again trying to take it in, and he repeated this message very urgently and said, you need to call for help now. And my reply, I told him, I understand, but I can't walk. And this was 1997, so we don't have the cell phone glued in our hand or back pocket like we do now. I had to get to a landline. And what he said to me, I think, was important on different levels. And his reply was, you just have to be willing to try. And I think he was referring to free will and the fact that we've got to do our own work. We've got to put the effort in. No one can come in with a magic wand and change our life for us, fix our life for us, make our life better. We've got to ask for help, and we've got to do our own work to the best of our ability. So I struggled to get up on my hands and knees. I managed to do that. And the minute I accomplished that, it was like being gently flown. I know that sounds wild, it was wild to me too. The short distance to the landline, there was a phone on my nightstand next to the bed. So I'm reaching up for it, thinking, okay, who do I call? He didn't say who to call. I'm going to call my husband at work because my husband worked really close to home. He was just 5 minutes away. So I was hoping I could reach him. And miracles continued because I got him immediately on the phone. I have never reached him at work on the first call like that. And I give him a lot of credit because all I said was, I need you to drive me to the hospital now. Can you take me to the hospital right now? And all he said was, on my way. And I heard him slam down slam down the phone. And I'm scheduled for the first surgery in the morning the next day, which I also knew meant they were pretty concerned. And I'm just trying to visualize the best outcome. The minute I have that thought, I pop right out of my body. I leave my body and I start feeling so much better. I'm not in pain. I'm not so scared. I start feeling more like myself. And I look back over my left shoulder and I see my body, my current body, as Wendy in the hospital bed. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at her. She's whiter than the sheets. She is really in bad shape. And that's an aspect of me in the bed. And yes, the body's important as a housing for our soul, but it's just a temporary housing. And I'm like, she's fine. I was my soul was very blasé about the body because the soul just knows it's eternal. I was not fine at all, but that was the reaction. And what I was interested in soul form, my higher self was interested in, I could see white light coming down from the ceiling. It was kind of like in a triangle shape. And I'm like, oh, look at that. I've got to go there. I'm following that. I'm going home. And I was very excited. So I make the decision. I'm like, she's fine in the bed, whatever. And I just follow up the light, and I go quickly out through not only the ceiling of my hospital room, but I pop out of the roof of the hospital. I remember looking back at it because I'm starting to travel faster and faster, and I remember looking back. And it was almost like having, I think what they describe is like a view that an astronaut would have. Like at a certain point, you just start to see like the curve of the earth and just how beautiful it all is and the shape of it. And I remember thinking, what a gorgeous planet we have the privilege of living on. We've got to take better care of her. And then I just kept on going because it's like, I got to get home. So I'm traveling faster and faster, and then all of a sudden, if you've ever run out of gas in a car, it's like that awful feeling of like, oh no, like stuttering to a stop. So that happened. I felt myself run out of energy. And my thought was, oh, please don't make me walk through one of those long tunnels. I don't think I'll make it home. I don't have enough energy. And this again was 1997. I knew very little about near-death experiences. It wasn't like our current day where there's these wonderful podcasts and books and documentaries, and it's much more a part of our consciousness and our culture to be aware of these experiences. But I did evidently know about the tunnel. The minute I had that thought, don't make me walk through that long tunnel, this pristine escalator dropped in for me. There's no one else on it. It is gorgeous. There's so much light coming up from it. And I plop myself on the escalator gratefully. And in doing so, I plopped myself over the handrail. And that made me realize what my body's not the right word, what my energy form was. And I knew I should have been like a beach ball of like all this like sparkling energy. Instead, I'm like flatter than a pancake, just like an old flat tire, just hung over the railing. So the escalator takes me on up, back home, back to the light, back to heaven, whatever the right term is, for you, for the listener. And I'm met with this amazing welcoming committee at the top of the escalator. Clearly they knew I was coming because they were all right gathered there. And there were about 18 or 20 souls that were my soul family, my soul group, the people that I know the best. And the same angels that were in my bathroom, the same 4 or 5 angels were there, and they were standing in the back. I could tell they were angels because they were larger and there was more light coming from them. So I knew the difference between my soul family and the angels. And they all gathered me in this huge hug. I got this huge group hug. I could have stayed there forever. It just felt like everything in the world it still makes me emotional this many years later. It was like everything in the world that you could want or need. It was unconditional love. It was no judgment. It was just all the support in the world for you. So I get this group hug, and then at a certain point, I feel more replenished, and I take a little quarter step back, and I just kind of look at the group, and I can make out very quickly who exactly some of the people were. Everyone looked exactly the same. They were like these, like I said, like big beach balls with just all this like amazing energy within them. And I recognized five individuals stepped forward. Both sets of grandparents stepped forward. And I wasn't surprised to see my mom's parents, my maternal grandparents. I knew them really well. They had passed on in the mid 1990s. And so I wasn't, so a few years earlier, so I wasn't that surprised to see them, and I recognized them exactly. So even though everyone looks the same, and I think that's important to know too, all these artificial distinctions we have around race, gender, culture, they mean nothing. That we're all exactly the same, but you can recognize them because there's this energy signature that's unique to each person. So my mom's parents are there, my grandparents are there, but my dad's parents were there too. I knew exactly who they were, and that was intriguing to me. I never met them in this lifetime. They died before I was born, but you just know who they are. And also, one of my best friends in this lifetime, her higher self stepped forward. She is very much alive. So that also made me realize, well, wait a minute. There's definitely an aspect. It's not that someone has to be deceased, not in a body, at home with the light. There's always this aspect of our higher self energy with the light, because she was there greeting me. So that was amazing too. So at that point, after I like kind of recognized everybody and enjoyed this reunion and gotten this incredible hug, Archangel Michael says, "Welcome home. We're so glad you're here. You made it. You're welcome to stay." The moment he spoke, I'm like, oh, that was the angel. He was one of the angels in my bathroom. Of course, that's Michael. That's who was speaking to me. And so he's saying I can stay, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't I stay? Oh my goodness. But he continues and he says, but if you want to go back, you're going to need to decide quickly. So I flash back on that hot mess body in the bed. I'm like, yeah, I totally understand that body is not viable. There's no soul in it. There's no life force energy in it. So he continues, to help you make your decision, I can tell you three things. Number one, if you choose to go back, you will have a successful surgery tomorrow and you will fully regain your health. This is huge because, of course, I've been very concerned about that. Number two, if you choose to go back, your baby will be born healthy. This is also huge. This was a very wanted pregnancy, as I said, years of infertility, and we wanted to have another child in addition to the daughter, the toddler that we had. So this was just a big deal because I really felt like this was my last opportunity to have another child. So that was also so much relief, so much weight coming off me to hear that. So now I'm like starting to think, oh gosh, my goodness, this is making me consider going back. And number three was the kicker. And what Michael said was, if you choose to go back, your life will be very difficult, likely for many years, because you're not living your purpose, you're not on your path. I was horrified to hear that. I was so embarrassed. I felt terrible. No one wants to hear they're not living their life purpose. So I said to him, oh, please, oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. Please tell me, what should I be doing? What should I let go of? What should I not be doing? I really want to get this right. This is so important. And he just gently shook his head. So I knew he wasn't going to tell me anything else. So it's like, well, wait a minute. I'm here with my soul family. I'm here with this soul group that knows me so well. There's 18 or 20 of them here. Come on, we all know group dynamics. There's got to be a chatty Cathy in the group. So I start going around to everyone else, like trying to find out some information about my life purpose. but no one will tell me anything. And I just start deflating, and I'm more and more dejected. Like, how can I do this if I just don't have a clue? So everyone sees me, because just the telepathy and just the understanding and everyone really being one. It's not only when we're home, it's when we're on Earth too, but gosh, we sure can forget that and put all these artificial distinctions in. So everyone sees I'm really getting dejected. So they start being really funny. And when I ask someone, tell me about my purpose, can you tell me anything? Can you give me a hint? Give me a clue? And they just put like duct tape over their mouths, but they're being really humorous about it. They'll, lock and key and like throw it away. But again, so I just start laughing because it really was funny. And that made me realize too, just laughter, even when things are difficult, it really is one of our best coping strategies to try and find the humor in something, because it's always there. So I realize no one's meant to tell me. That's just the bottom line. I'm 36. I've still got time to figure it out. So Michael then asks me, "What do you want to do?" So the minute he asks me that, all I can see is our adorable daughter Tara's face. But it wasn't like the normal size, like seeing her as the sweet little preschooler that she was. It was like the IMAX screen version, only bigger. So her face, I could see her big hazel eyes and her brown curly hair, and it's like it filled my world from like top to bottom and around me. All I could see was her smiling face. And I knew I was going to regain my health, and I knew my baby was going to be born healthy. So it was easy when, easy's not the right word. I made the decision, and I knew what my heart was telling me. And when Michael asked me that, I said, put me back in, coach. I'm ready to play. I want to go back for my children. I need to go back for my children. It's just such an honor to be their mother, and I want to go back, and I'll figure out the rest. So everyone's like cheering. They just think this decision is so brave, because they're home with the light where you've just got everything you need, and just feel that we're really brave because we choose to incarnate, whether it's on Earth or another planet or another dimension. So everyone gives me one more huge group hug, and that time I could feel not only the unconditional love and the support and the wisdom, but I could feel energy being downloaded to me. And I don't think I would have survived the surgery that next day without having, gone home and gotten that infusion. And also just having understood more things, because these things just had not been on my radar. These things were not obvious to me until I went home and just got this refresher. So the minute I get that marvelous hug, and then we break it off, and everyone's smiling at me and I'm smiling back, and Michael just puts me back down on the escalator. I'm looking over my shoulder and just waving, and everyone's like in cheerleader mode, like, you can do it, we're so proud of you. Get back in there. And I just went down the escalator, and the light just brought me right back bedside, and it just beamed me just so gently back into my body, and I just plopped back into my body, and then the light just disappeared. And the minute I got back in my body, I had two thoughts. The first one was, ugh, why is she so little? I'm 5'2", and I was just frustrated. Like, why did I choose such a little body? I know I'm meant to be bigger. And I think that was just, feeling, having felt like the size and the how amazing and immense our souls really are. And so all of a sudden it was like being in this little body again. And also it was like, oh, wow, this really is painful. I am just looking forward to that surgery tomorrow and we'll get this figured out. So I did have obviously a successful surgery the next morning, and what they found, they were using some imaging guidance to try and not disturb the fetus to keep the pregnancy viable. And what they found had happened was the fundus, which is an aorta at the top of the uterus, had ruptured. So they surgically repaired that, and that is why I had lost so much blood so quickly, because it was pumping out through an aorta. And my doctor estimated I lost 3/4 of my blood supply during that 3 or 4 days until I was surgically attended to. So I was so fortunate, in so many ways, because everything, went right all along the way to get me the best possible help that I needed medically. I mean, if this had happened 100 years ago, that would have been death. There just wouldn't have been the resources to help me. So I recover at home for 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks of strict bed rest. I was weaker than a kitten, and we were very fortunate. My husband's at work, and we didn't have any other, family in the area. We were very fortunate. We had a live-in nanny who was with us that took care of our daughter while we were both at work. So she was helping me as well as taking care of a lively toddler. So after 6 weeks, I go back to work. And I was the marketing director for a busy ambulatory surgery center. And obviously I'd been not at work for like 7 weeks at this point. So everyone's like, Wendy, are you okay? What happened? What's going on? And you're passing each other in the hall in this busy medical practice. I had no words. All I could say was, I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. I held on to the pregnancy. That basically seemed like the only pertinent point to share. And I didn't know. I didn't really know what else to say. I had tried to talk to my husband a little bit about what I experienced with the near-death experiences, and I realized very quickly he had no frame of reference for it either, and he actually, I feel, was more traumatized by what happened than I was, because I'd had the benefit of the experience with the angels helping me in the bathroom and then with going home to the light. Again, it's 1997. I was a practical woman. I'd had my MBA degree since I was 22. I was like, I'm not going to discuss this with medical personnel. I don't see the point. I don't think they've got any frame of reference. And I'm not interested in having a psychological workup that I don't want or need. I know what I experienced. I know what I saw. And that's just the way it is. So it's private to me. Again, I tried a little bit of conversation with my mother, and it just was not landing for her either. I didn't share this experience for 20 years.
So you had this soul contract with your husband before both of you incarnated,
Yes.
and you remember making that soul contract with your ex-husband on the other side before you were born?
Oh, can I remember making? I do not know. I don't have a memory. I know where it came from. I know we'd had a previous life together in the 1600s in colonial America, and we'd had a very brief encounter in that lifetime, and he became we went courting. We went on this courting carriage ride. We met the one time, and I turned him down. He asked to move forward, and to court me and to move toward marriage, and I said no. Thank you so much for the opportunity and this beautiful afternoon, but you're not the right man for me. So I know that energy carried forward from that lifetime, but I don't specifically remember being at home with him and making the agreement.
Okay, you said that you can hear angels. Did you acquire that special ability when you went onto the other side, or it came to you eventually after that NDE?
I think we come into this lifetime, when you think about children under the age of 8, imaginary friends, because it's not just angels, it can be guides, it can be ancestors that have passed on, it can be God, whoever is going to be the most comforting and wonderful ascended masters, whoever's going to be the most hopeful to you. I think we've all got that ability when we start, but many people, most children are socialized out of it because our parents tell us, "Oh, okay, honey, you're getting a little too old for that. That's just your imagination. You need to let that go because the kids are going to make fun of you in school if you talk about that." Or you might be told, "We don't talk about that outside the house." Those sorts of things, so we can be socialized out of it. Certainly some people, they're psychic mediums. There's some wonderful healers. They just keep that veil open the whole lifetime, and they always have that ability. I remember having it well through my teens, and I had an experience in high school that really scared me, and I didn't enjoy, and I had no one to talk to about it. I knew for several years. I knew from 8th grade until my senior year in high school, I knew that one of my classmates was going to die. Not comfortable information to have. And he was amazing. He was the most popular boy in my class, really smart kid, very kind, star athlete. And I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the shoe to drop because I knew it. And he died 3 days before our graduation. That was not comfortable to hold on to. So I slammed the door shut at that point in a lot of ways. It's like, how is this helpful? How is this a good thing to know things like this? So I purposefully shut that door, and I did not reopen that door until I was 36 and had the near-death experiences. And at that point, had the maturity to deal with it and see it for the privilege that it is. And now I use that gift so often for clients and to help other people. It's wonderful.
Okay, Wendy, if people want to find more about you, about what you do, maybe you have a book, a website, would you like to share that here?
Oh, absolutely. So I can best be reached via my website, which is my full name, wendyrosewilliams.com. And you'll find events on there. You'll find a complimentary group energy healing. You'll find how to work with me one on one. And you'll find the links to my books there.
Okay, so after this experience, after your NDE, when you decided to become a healer?
I Becoming a healer, it chose me, and I did not come to it easily or gracefully. I became so interested starting in 2010 when I read Journey of Souls and then went for my first past life regression in 2011. That really changed things, and it came up via another soul contract with a soulmate that I met about 6 years after I was divorced. And so it was a wonderful man that I dated, and our soul contract together was for him to wake me up spiritually. So I just started to get in and to study all these things and to train, thinking it was just for personal enrichment, learning how to meditate, becoming a Reiki master energy healer, becoming trained as a channel, starting to write the books. I thought, it's all for me. And then in 2017, I was laid off from a job that I really enjoyed and had expected to stay there through retirement. And it was quite interesting that I was not able to find traditional employment at that time because they had every reason to. So what I did was I was looking for traditional employment because I had two daughters in college at that time. So the stakes were high financially again, just like they had been during the NDE time. And I also, at that point, I just started a website because I had been doing about 2 sessions a month as a past life regressionist, as a hypnotherapist, as an energy healer for friends. And I'd been doing that for about a year. And because I was working full time and just very busy, that was all the time I had. And I didn't realize that was my new career and new life of service being birthed right there. So I started the website, and I did not find traditional employment because I wasn't meant to. So 7 years ago now, that's when I started full time. And such a blessing because I had time to write the books and time to work with more people and to continue to train. So I trained with Dr. Brian Weiss for past life regression, and with one of Dr. Michael Newton's first degree students, with one of Dolores Cannon's students, and just got fully on my life path.
Okay, Wendy, do you fear death, or are you looking forward going home?
Do I feel that I'm looking forward to going home? Absolutely. But I also feel I have so many wonderful things to accomplish first. So I'm just at peace with whenever that's meant to be. I feel we have planned exit points. I feel most people have 5. Certainly things can change. And my guides who've told me several times, I'm already past all 5 of my planned exit points. So it's like I'm in this, wonderful bonus chapter where life is just more and more joyful, and I just feel more and more peace and just very excited to really fully be in service at this point.